Hello, my first graders. Today we are on lesson 11, or I should say this week we are on lesson 11. So let's take a look at our words to know for the week, our sight words. These are words you want to know in a snap because they're going to show up in your book. Okay, and they're common words that are used in other books. All right, let's take a look at our words. Cold, where, blue, live, far, there, little, water. Right, I'm going to do that one more time. Cold, where, blue, live, far, there, little, water. All right, take a look at that word cold. Here it is big right here, cold. Do you see the word old in cold? If I cover up the C, old, cold. We've looked at that a couple times in our, that chunk a couple times in our words. Okay, the word where, okay, where. This word shows up all over. It's a question word, okay? A lot of times it's a question starter word, where. And you're going to see this a lot on our tests, where. Okay, blue is a color word. Far. In the word far, that A-R makes the R sound like a pirate. Far. We're actually going to have that spelling skill come up later, a lot later on, but you'll see A-R, R like a pirate. Little, double T's, okay, little. And then we have live, okay, live. Sometimes we say live, when you're talking about something being alive, okay, or it could where something lives. There, this there is different from the other there that we had. Remember when I talked about here, there, where with the H-E-R-E, right? If I cover up that, we have the here. If I add a T, it says there, like, and they're all location words. This there with the E-I-R talks about ownership. It's like somebody who owns something, right? Their home is by the ocean, okay? It means them over, it means that group of people. Okay, think of that there when you see the E-I-R, think of the I as like a person, right? There's the head and the body. That it's talking about a person. The other there is about a place. So this is about people. And then we have water. Okay. All right. So as you can see from these pictures on this page, there's a lot of sea animals, isn't there? And people who live by the ocean. Our story for the week is called At Home in the Ocean. Okay, it's written by Roseanne Lankazak Williams. And if you want to read about her, you can go on Think Central and click the speaker button to listen to about Roseanne. So the story that we have today, At Home in the Ocean, it's an informational text. That means it's true. Okay, it's a nonfiction story. Informational text gives us information or facts. And as we'll see as we read this, you're going to see a lot of facts about animals that live in the ocean. And you'll also see about some plants as well. As we're reading, we want to think about the author's purpose. Why did the author write this story? Okay, usually authors have a reason why they write it. Sometimes they write a story because they think it's funny. Sometimes they write a story because they're trying to give facts about something. So we want to, or sometimes they're trying to convince you to do something. So we want to think, why did Roseanne write this story? Okay, what was the meaning behind it? As we read this informational text today, we're also going to point out some features that the text has, and you'll see them as we go through. I'll point them out. Okay. All right, we have At Home in the Ocean. The ocean is big. It is big and blue as far as you can see. It is home to many plants and animals. Okay, so we see that the ocean, right? She's telling us about the ocean. She's telling us that there's a lot of plants and animals that live in the ocean. The biggest animals in the ocean are blue whales. They eat little animals called krill. So here we have the blue whale. Take a look right here. Okay, here is a label, or sometimes we call them a caption, and it's telling us what is in the picture. They're identifying the animal, blue whale, so it's naming what's in the picture. Then over here, it's showing us krill. Okay, see the word krill? And it's letting us know that these creatures right here are krill. Now it says the biggest animals, and in our text, it was talking about the blue whale, and it was talking about krill because the biggest animal, the blue whale, eat krill. And if you've never seen a blue whale, this lets you know what a blue whale looks like, and this lets you know what krill looks like. So it's naming what's in the picture, so that you have an idea of what those things look like. Many animals live in cold water. Brrr. Penguins swim fast. They flap their wings to zip, zip, zip in the water. So again, here's a label. It's letting us know that, hey, these are penguins, just in case you haven't seen penguins before. Okay, so it's naming what's in the picture. It's also letting us know that animals can live in the cold water. So it's letting us know this is water that is cold, and that you have showing you a picture of some creatures that live in the cold water, and it's also showing you some animals that live in the cold water. Manatees live where the water is warm. They do not swim fast. Manatees eat lots and lots of plants. Then they rest. So here's a manatee. Okay, and we know that it's a manatee because the label's right here. It's naming what's in the picture. Okay, so they're pretty big animals. Manatees are one of the bigger animals in the ocean, but they do not swim fast. They're very slow swimmers, and that puts them in danger oftentimes from boats because they can't get out of the way of the boats, and sometimes they get hit by the boat's propellers. So there they are. They see the plants they're eating. So look at the difference between this one and this one. So we talked about the penguins, and we said the penguins, they swim fast. And look at that, penguins swim fast. And then on this page, they talk about manatees, and they say they do not swim fast. So we're learning that some of the animals in the ocean swim fast and some swim slow. And wait a minute, penguins live where the water is cold, but manatees live where the water is warm. So many animals, different kinds of animals, live in different types of water. This turtle swims far. It digs in the sand and lays its eggs. Then it swims back to its ocean home. So here we have a turtle, right? And we know that because here's our label. And here's a picture of the turtle eggs. Look at that. Do you see the babies hatching out of the eggs? How cute. So there's our eggs. And you see they're on the sand. So, and it tells us that the turtles dig in the sand to lay its egg. Kelp is the biggest plant in the ocean. It can grow fast. Kelp can grow 2 feet in a day. Sea otters can get lots of food here. So again, here's a label. It says kelp. So before, when we were looking at our labels, so far we kept seeing animals being labeled, but now they're labeling plants. So the author's telling us not just about the animals that live in the ocean, but now these are called plants. They're kelp. So they want us to know, she wants us to know about not just the animals in the ocean, but also the plants. Then here we have the label sea otter. Here's a picture of the sea otter. Okay? So they put the kelp and the sea otter together because what did it say that sea otters do? Yeah, it says sea otters get lots of food here. So he's eating, looks like he might be eating some of the kelp. Okay? So kelp can grow 2 feet a day. That's a lot. So boys and girls, think about the, well, you can't really see the length of my book. Probably 2 of your grown-ups' feet together, about that much a day, which is a whole lot. Plants usually grow very slow, but kelp grows extremely fast. It's the biggest plant in the ocean. Okay, so just like the blue whale was the biggest animal in the ocean, the kelp is the biggest plant in the ocean. Lots of plants and animals, big and little, live in the ocean. The ocean is their home. Okay, so the author is telling us that not only are there a lot of animals in the ocean, but there's lots of plants. Okay, and the animals can be big and little, so can the plants. And that the ocean is their home. So many things find their home in the ocean. We have a jellyfish right here. Okay, and that was the end of our story. So one of the things I told you to think about when we were reading through this story was, well, what was the author's purpose? Why did the author write At Home in the Ocean? What was she trying to do? Was she telling a funny story? No. Was she trying to get you to do something? Does she talk to you about swimming in the ocean? No. So the whole thing, as we were reading, it was giving us facts, wasn't it? Right? What did it give us facts about? Gave us facts about animals, right? If we look back on all our pages, there was facts about animals. Oh, and look, and there was facts about kelp, right? And kelp is a plant. So the whole time, the author, she's not trying to convince us to do anything. She's not saying go visit the ocean. Okay? She wants us to learn about the different animals and plants that live in the ocean. She's giving us facts about them. That was what the whole story was all about, facts about plants and animals. So that is why she wrote this story, to give us facts about the ocean, right? About the plants and animals in the ocean. We learned about the labels, right? This was a text, we call them text features. Okay? Text features are things that are added to our story to help us understand it. We saw that the labels helped us understand what the plants and animals looked like. Okay, because a lot of us probably didn't know what krill looked like. I know I didn't know what krill looked like until I saw this label, and that told me what it looked like. I also did not know what kelp looked like until I saw this picture with the label right here, so that I know that this is kelp. Okay. Now, the author wrote this story to tell us facts, right? She wanted us to tell us facts about the ocean. Why would you read At Home in the Ocean then? What would be the point of reading this story? Other than the fact that we have to do it for school, right? But if you picked this book, why would somebody pick this book to read? So when you're asked that question, why would you pick this book to read? You want to think, well, what was the book about? Yeah, it was about the ocean, right? So if you picked At Home in the Ocean to read, it would probably be because you wanted to learn about the ocean, and maybe you wanted to learn what was in the ocean. Okay. One of the other things the author does in the story is she tells us about different plants. She doesn't give us a whole lot about plants, but she does give us some. But she tells us a lot about the different animals. Okay. And one of the things that we looked at when we were doing this was she talked about the water in the ocean, about the water being cold, and then about the water being warm. Why do you think the author tells about ocean animals that live in warm and cold places? Why do you think she lets us know that there's warm water and cold water, and she tells us about those animals? Yeah, because she wants to tell us that animals live in different types of water. Okay, so when we think of the ocean, we might think of, depending on where we live, some of us might think that the ocean water is always cold. And some of us might think that the ocean water is always warm. She wants us to know that in different places, the water feels different and that different animals can live in the different types of waters. Okay, so as we talked about, as I asked you some questions about this story, a lot of it had to do with the author, okay, and the author's purpose about why she does certain things and why would people read this story. So when we read informational texts or nonfiction texts, it's good to think about that. Okay, it's good to think about, well, what is the author writing about? What is she trying to tell us? What does she want us to think about as we're reading this story? Okay, so the reason why somebody writes something is also this one of the same reasons why people would read it. Okay, why they would choose that book. All right, I hope you enjoyed our story, At Home in the Ocean. I want to encourage you to go on Think Central and try to read this story on your own. And that way you have some practice with the words that are in our story.